Hello and welcome to the video version of my journal. I'm Stephanie Rivers. Come on into the conversation. I am multicasting on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn. So if you're watching, be sure to like, share, and subscribe so that when I post new videos, you will be the first to know. If you are new to the conversation, we want to welcome you. And if you are one of my returning subscribers, we want to thank you for your support and welcome you back. Are white supremacists recruiting Latinos? That's what we're talking about today. So I'm just going to cut down my music and jump right into it. When you think of mass shooters, most of us picture angry white men with big firearms and lots of ammunition, because 99% of the time, that's what mass shooters look like. There have been at least 13 mass shootings in 2023 so far. And all but about 4 of those perpetrators were white men. The face of white supremacy is changing in the United States. Let's take, for example, the mass shooter in Allen, Texas, in the DFW area, who killed 8 people and another man who drove his vehicle into a group of pedestrians outside of a migrant center in Brownsville, Texas, both within 24 hours of each other. Both attackers were Latino men. Based on his social media posts, the Allen shooter was an avowed white supremacist. He had swastika tattoos on his body, according to the reports, and a patch on his military style clothes he wore that read RWDS, which stands for Right Wing Death Squad. Now, this is the same RWDS insignia that was displayed by right-wing extremist groups during their marches as far back as Charlottesville, when the right-wing group, what was it called? I forgot the name of it. I should have written down, but the one where the young lady Heather was killed, was run over by a car and killed. There was some white supremacist connections that were attacking the group that was also protesting in with their counter messages. So the Brownsville killer murdered 8 people and injured 10 that same weekend as the Allen, Texas shooter at the mall. Witnesses said this guy drove back and forth taunting people at an intersection before he ran a red light and drove into a group of about 20 people, and 8 of them died because of their injuries. And since vehicles can be used as weapons and are more accessible to some people than firearms, it's likely that more people will start to use their vehicles to kill and destroy, especially since many state legislators have villainized protesters by creating laws that make it easier for people in vehicles to claim they feared for their lives from protesters nearby. So drivers can claim self-defense if they run over protesters. And this has been happening a lot around the country. So you should check with your state legislature to see what types of laws that they have put in place, because that's what's going on. Remember, I've been doing a lot of my columns on how state legislatures are where the skeletons are hidden, meaning that's where a lot of the dirt is done, where they put all these laws in place because they know most people pay more attention to what's going on the federal level, on the national level, and they're paying less attention to what's going on the state level. Are white supremacist groups recruiting Latinos? Now, when it comes to using self defense against protesters, that's the defense that Daniel Perry in Austin, Texas used after he sat in his car and shot and killed a protester during a Black Lives Matter protest in 2020. It was a rally, actually, in 2020. Perry claimed that he feared for his life, but that defense didn't work out for him. He was just sentenced a couple of days ago to 25 years for the murder of Garrett Foster in Austin. Now the question becomes, will Texas Governor Greg Abbott pardon Perry as he said he would when the guy was convicted a few weeks ago? Politicians stay trying to villainize Black people. They stay trying to villainize protesters, and they stay trying to villainize immigrants. These are the three-tier campaign platforms that a lot of people are emotional about. And so politicians trying to agitate people, trying to get them riled up, trying to get them to vote for them, they use Black people, they use immigrants, they use protesters as dog whistle type terms and platforms to get people to say, oh, those people, we don't want those people. And they, so vote for me and I'll help you keep those people in check. That's what a lot of politicians do. But notice the Manhattan prosecutors were hesitant to charge Daniel Penny with manslaughter for choking out Jordan Neely, choking him to death. Here's a picture of Daniel Penny. He's the guy who choked to death Jordan Neely on the New York subway train. And when they did charge Daniel Penny, they waited patiently for Penny to turn himself in. And all the while, the mainstream media was quick to label Daniel Penny as a Marine veteran. You notice that every time they say his name, they say a Marine veteran because they're trying to give him some level of respect. And they will paint Black people and they will paint protesters, they will paint immigrants as criminals, even when they're not criminals. But they paint white people who are criminals, who are killers, as respectable citizens, even when they're not. If you haven't already, be sure to like, share, and subscribe so that when I post new videos, you'll be the first to know. Now, in case you forgot, excuse me, in case you forgot, Enrique Tarrio, he was recently convicted. He's the leader of the white supremacist group, the Proud Boys. And Tarrio was the leader during the 2021 January 6th insurrection on the Capitol. So Enrique Tarrio and three other members of the Proud Boys who were like state presidents, or they were chapter presidents. They were convicted a couple of days ago of a conspiracy and planning the insurrection, and some of them actively breaking into the U.S. Capitol. So Enrique Tarrio is a Latino American, and he is leading a white supremacist movement. So what's that all about? That would be one of the questions that I would want to ask people if I, really like care to want to understand how they thought. But it's always good to try to understand where people are coming from. But at the same time, I wouldn't really spend a whole lot of time on trying to understand people who do irrational things. And so the Proud Boys considered themselves to be Donald Trump's army. Trump's army is what they call themselves. And they help to coordinate with other GOP elected officials who have, since we've learned, had helped to plan or gave access to open doors for, gave tours of the Capitol the day before to Proud Boy members and other people who were planning to break in the next day. So we just heard Donald Trump admit that if he was reelected to serve another term as president, that he would pardon some of the people convicted for their actions surrounding the 2021 insurrection at the Capitol. It's another reason that some people would want to see Trump reelected so Trump can give them a get out of jail free card, because that's what they're looking for. Now, whether white supremacists realize their best chance of survival is to brainwash non-white people into joining their membership, or whether those people think that joining white supremacist groups is their best chance for survival, we should be aware that some people hate the skin that they're in. And there's just no other way to ascertain as to why a brown person would join a white supremacist group. If you are one of those people, Latino American, and you saw fit to join a white supremacist group, and you want to inbox me, feel free to do that. I'll put my email address up for you to give me some free feedback on that, so we can discuss you and you can be one of our subjects one day. So just because someone might be our skin folk doesn't mean they're our kinfolk. Some people hate themselves because they think if it's white, then it must be right. And so you have those people out there. And that's not to say that all black and brown people have to think alike. But on some level, it just makes sense that for the preservation of who we are and our generations to come, that we might have some thought processes in common. And sometimes you might, especially during political seasons, you'll see people promoting or supporting certain candidates and whose platform clearly is against what this person is all about, but still they find a way to dig deep inside of a platform, and then they'll explain, well, yeah, this is why I support this person. So that was Daniel. I had the picture of Daniel Penny up, the guy who finally was charged with manslaughter of Jordan Neely on that train. So we'll have to see what happens during that trial, because again, they keep trying to give him respectability by calling him a retired a veteran, a military veteran. And so it depends on if members of the jury will buy that and use that to excuse what he did in some form or fashion. So people who join white supremacist groups, and you're clearly not a white person, it's probably because they hate their skin. They have bought into the notion that if it's white, it's all right. And they hate you because you love your brown skin. So they go out here and start trying to, and they come up with a reason that gives them a reason to want to kill and destroy other people. They hate you because you walk with pride with your head held high. They hate you because you give respect and you demand respect, and you don't walk with your back bent and your head down like some people expect you to do. When I walk through the airport, when I walk where I'm going, I just carry myself in a way that lets people know I am proud of who I am, and I respect you, and I expect you to respect me. And a lot of people don't like that for some reason. They are intimidated by that, and That's their problem. That's not my problem. Still, some people will try to make it your problem. So, as we get closer to 2024 in the presidential primary season, when millions of people pay more attention to elections, some candidates will use immigration policies to villainize Black people, protesters, and immigrants. It's the same story. Despite the evidence to the contrary, some people want to blame their inadequacies on everyone else and everything else but themselves. So just know that there could be, probably will be, more incidents involving racially motivated crimes against people um, in the United States, not just by angry white people with large firearms and a lot of ammunition, but by angry and even more confused brown people who hate themselves and they hate you for loving your brown skin. So hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. To find out more about the things that I care about, you can go to the written version of my journal. It's at eurweb.com. Thank you so much and have a super day.